I paid way too much for this Game Boy Store display kiosk, but how could I not? This thing is amazing, and they pretty much never come up for sale. Unfortunately, this one is broken, and there's a lock on the top that I don't have a key for. So let's see if I can pick the lock, and then if I can fix it. So this thing is in pretty rough condition. We got some stickiness up here. Like these parts right here are just like, there's a big gap there. I'm not sure what the deal is there. It's very dirty, it is yellowed. The stickers are all like, just kind of coming off. So we gotta fix that too. And then I haven't even taken this out. I don't know what the deal is with the actual Game Boy on here. Now this lock right here is already open, so that's good. And this is what we have on the inside. You can see a bunch of wires and stuff, but we got to get inside the whole unit. This thing, it's not super heavy. I'd say probably like, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds maybe. So it's not like amazingly heavy, but also it is kind of a pain to move around. Got to try and get it at an angle I can work on picking this lock. All right, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this in the close-up shot, but so there's my, I don't know what that thingy's called. There's the one thingy. Here's the pick. So I'm just gonna go through and see if I can pick this. This is my first time ever picking a lock. Although, to be fair, I did practice on this a little bit before I started filming. Hopefully we can get it without too much trouble. Nothing like a little lock-picking lawyer episode in this video, huh? A little click on 1, nothing on 2, 3 is binding. I have no clue which one of these I'm pushing on. Come on. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I just picked a lock. That's amazing. Okay, make sure it's all the way. Okay, so that should be, I'm not sure what happens now though. Let's stand it back up. I would think that this thing, I feel like, no, that's all the way. Okay, but then like, nothing happens. Okay, well, not sure what I'm supposed to do now. All right, so, oh, this totally comes off. Okay, so this front piece, I'm gonna lay it back down. Like that. That does not sound good. How does this come off of here though? It's just this, maybe it just flips forward. Totally does. So it's like hinged right there. I want to get that off so we can take this whole thing off. Oh, that's like a little plastic hinge thing. I don't like the looks of that at all. Okay, but we got to the TV. So this is what we're dealing with on the inside. Got a big old cable down there, the TV. But I feel like I need to get this whole top piece off. Oh, that's like a fluorescent light right there that's causing all of that. That could be a problem. I'm sure that's burned out. Anyway, so I feel like I need to get that front piece off, but I'm paranoid of those little plastic pins that they're just gonna break off. And that happens, that's gonna suck. So we gotta figure that part out next. All right, so I figured out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove this bolt. This hinge is already broken over here, so we need to fix that at some point. But I'm gonna remove this bolt, remove this little switch right here, and then this piece can come off. And then I think I can just flip this whole piece forward. I hope. Let's give it a try. Okay, and let's first try and get this button off. There we go. I already loosened it so I could do it with one hand. There we go. And with that off, okay, and now we need to loosen this one without bumping the camera too much. Oop. Stay. Got it. And we'll just loosen this one over here while we're here. Got it. I think that thing should come up. All right. There we go. Got to get that tape off. Definitely redo this. This tape is just so brittle. It's still sticky a little bit though. Okay, there we go. Now that can go down there. Now we're totally free. I was putting this nut back on here and it totally dropped down there somewhere. So near the end of this video where I'm like, man, we seem to be missing this nut here. Now you know why. I'll probably forget, so you can remind me in the comments. Okay, now these cables right here, we need to loosen from those nuts and remove them. So I'm not gonna be able to get this very well. We're doing it the best possible way using a crescent wrench. And all the farmers are like, yeah. Okay, just need to get this one off of here. Okay, and then I'll just do the same on the other side, and then hopefully we can flip this thing forward more. Okay, and now I think if I flip this forward, it's hitting my camera up there. Just like that. Okay, now we're inside. So this is what we're working with. I think what I want to do is take this TV out, and then we can plug it in separately. I haven't plugged any of this in, but I'm thinking maybe we kind of work in steps. So let's make sure the TV works. If it doesn't work on that, once we know that works, then we can move on to the Game Boy, and then we can put a game in and see if it all works together. So let's get this TV removed and see if that works. It's interesting, we have like just a strap up here, and then it's just plugged into a power cord down there. So, and then of course we do have this lamp here. We have a little piece broken off there, so the speaker grill has been broken off. Power button works. Okay, let's get it off and see if it works. I think if I just undo the strap like that. This even has a carry handle. Oh yeah, that just comes right out. Okay. So we're gonna put you guys back here. All right, let's see what we got. Oh wow, we got some stuff.
One of the things Steve and I have been looking for a while is a really good electric screwdriver that can rip through the screws on something like this PS5. It can be tricky finding something with enough torque, but also enough sensitivity not to strip the screws. So today I want to show you the Fanttik E2 Ultra. This little electric screwdriver is no toy. It's pushing up to 0.6 Newton meters of torque and spins at about 2,700 RPM, which is plenty to rip through these screws fast. Now the bits on here aren't universal with every toolkit you might own, but Fanttik gives you a huge set, 50 S2 steel bits. So you've basically got what you need for almost any console or electronics project. Watch how quickly this goes. Select the right bit, torque setting of 2, and this screw just flies right out. And if we have one that some moron accidentally over tightened, just bump it up to 5. No sweat. When it's time to put it all back together, just lower our setting back down so that we don't over tighten. Make sure it's lined up. And we're good to go. It charges over USB-C with an 800 milliamp battery, so you can keep it ready to go on your bench. If you want a compact driver with real muscle to do that tough console work, check out the Fanttik E2 Ultra. Link and discount code are down in the description. Thanks to Fanttik for sponsoring this spot. Now let's get back to Steve.
Oh, we got some documentation. That's awesome. Instructions. We got pass fail, pre-burn-in. Wow. And then we've got Demo Boy 2 setup instructions. Okay, well that's cool. Didn't expect that. This goes on the front of the monitor. Okay. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, this is just plugged in right here. Okay. So we also have this whole unit right here. We'll look at that in a minute. Let's get this TV looked at. Okay, monitor is plugged in. See what happens when we power it on. We get a green light. No picture though. Also, I don't know if there should be a picture on this because the picture is gonna probably come from the Game Boy or that other unit in there, since this is just a monitor. I feel like there should be some sort of brightness on the screen though. And the fact that there's not does kind of worry me a little bit. So that is good that it does power onto a green light. I'm not convinced that it's working though. So this is sort of interesting. There is a bit of a glow when I turn this on. There we go. You can kind of see it a little bit right there. I'm not totally sure what that means, as I'm not super familiar with these old CRTs. I'm sure someone in the comments can tell me what is likely the problem. I'm thinking the flyback system, but that's just a guess. So one of the problems with this monitor is, even if I can find what's wrong with it, there's no parts available anywhere, at least that I've found. So I'm thinking what I might have to do, I don't really want to do this because this is the original monitor, but I might have to replace this with a different one. Just because if there's no parts available, even if I can figure out what's wrong, I have nothing to replace parts with. So I think I'm gonna see if I can find a replacement for this. I'll do that all off camera though. Let's get the rest of this system taken apart and see if this even works. I have a TV that I think I can hook this up to see if this box works and if the Game Boy itself works. So I'm gonna do that next. I've got a couple screws to take off here, and then I gotta get this unit out. So this unit is just like loose in here, other than it's got a couple cables that connect to the Game Boy itself. So let's see if we can get this Game Boy out of here. So that screw is out, or that nut is off. Now we need to remove this one. And I think, yeah, that bracket just comes right off then. Okay. Bracket is off, and now the Game Boy is loose. Can we get it out? There we go. Okay. Oh, we even have a game in here. What game do we have? I didn't expect that necessarily. I can't get it out with one hand. And there's just a ribbon cable that goes into the Game Boy for connection. So now that we've got that out though, we can wind this up through and hopefully remove this unit. So we've got this, the cable that's attached to the Game Boy that we need to get up through here. Okay, there we go. And then this other cable right here, which isn't connected to anything. Oh yeah, that's the reset button. Okay, so this can come out now, I think. Okay, good. There's that. And we just need the reset button, and there we go. Woo! Okay, we've got everything removed. Now we got to get it hooked up to a monitor and see if this thing even works. So this unit is called the Demo Boy 2. I think they use it in a lot of the store kiosks similar to this one. And I've got it plugged into the TV, and it's plugged in to the Game Boy. Now I've got to plug the TV and Demo Boy 2 into the outlet, and hopefully no smoke comes out of anything. Okay, TV plugged in. And here we go, Demo Boy 2 plugged in. Okay, and is that a power light I see on? Yeah, the Game Boy is actually working. It's really hard to see the screen, but it does actually work. Okay, now, is it? Come on. Okay, we need probably a different channel. I can hear it on the TV though. I can hear it, but I get no picture. So we've got picture on the Game Boy. We don't have picture to the TV. So are those switched? Nope, I don't think so. Video, audio. Okay, so that's the first thing we got to figure out. Why do we have a picture on the Game Boy but not on the TV? It is possible it's because it's a TV and not a monitor. I don't know, I'm not an expert with that. So that's what I got to figure out next. So we know the Game Boy works fully. We don't know if the box works fully. We know the TV works fully. And the Demo Boy 2 is sending sound but it's not sending video. So I think we need to take this apart and see if there's anything going on inside of the Demo Boy 2. And our first look inside the Demo Boy 2. So this is the connector to the Game Boy. This over here is the video out part, so I think we might need to get a better look at that. But just looking at the rest of the board, everything just looks really good. Even the capacitors on the power supply look good. But I think it's time to get this board out and let's look at the underside. And there is nothing really to it. I'll double check all those solder joints. But, oh man, it actually looks pretty good. I have no clue what might be going on with this thing. Okay, since I see nothing wrong with the board, I've replugged everything in. I've swapped the yellow and red leads on this cable to the TV, just in case maybe the video part of the cable is bad. So, I've got the audio plugged in. Let's plug in the video. Oh, look at that. I wonder if I just have a bad cable. Either way, let's try it with the Game Boy on. Oh my goodness, that looks so cool. Look at that. Okay, well, we know that everything else works. I need to do some work on this Game Boy, and I've got to find a monitor to put in this thing. But then after that, I think this whole kiosk might actually work. That's so cool. So let's swap these cables around and just see if that's what the problem was. It could be the cables, or it could just be because I reset, moved everything around inside of this this unit here. Okay, cables are back how they should be. Okay, so the cable I have is fine. I'm guessing it's probably just was from this video connection right here. Okay, so I'm gonna get the demo unit back together. I need to see if I can find a monitor that will fit this. This is a small enclosure. It takes like an 11-inch monitor, which is kind of an oddball size. There's not a lot out there that will work for this. I also am a little bit curious, what would this look like with like a flat panel TV in it instead? I'm not sure if I should do that though. It's very unoriginal. I feel like a monitor might be better. You tell me in the comments what you think. That just looks so good. Okay, we've got the box of the new monitor. Let's see if this is gonna work. This was supposedly a working monitor. I found it on eBay, so you never know what you're gonna get there. So hopefully it actually does work. Seems pretty tall. Okay. Oh, that's not good. So old monitor here, new monitor here. This one's about an inch taller. That cabinet is pretty short. Like we have to fit the monitor in there exactly. So I'm not sure if this one's gonna work, but let's at least turn it on and see if it even turns on, and then we'll see if we can fit it in the cabinet. So we've got a replacement monitor all plugged in. Let's see if it even powers on first. Okay, I hear it coming on. I feel static, that's good, but nothing. Oh, screen's lighting up slowly. Come on. Okay, it does actually work, good. I'm gonna plug the Demo Boy 2 into this, and then we'll see if we get a picture. Okay, plugged in. And hey, there we go. It actually works. I don't know how well that's coming across on screen, but on camera, but looks pretty good here. So the great news is this monitor actually works. You never know when you're buying stuff on eBay, especially shipping stuff this big and kind of sensitive. So this is great news. We've got a monitor for the kiosk, but now we need to see if it fits in. It is an inch taller, which I think is gonna be a problem because the backs of this are already cracked and broken from the other monitor that was smaller than this one. So I'm gonna try and do like a test fit. Let's see how well it fits in here. Okay, so this is gonna be awkward. So that can go in there. Yeah, it's already hitting. That's gonna be a problem. Okay, so I know what maybe we can do. So I'm thinking what we need to do is trim this case down. I think in the back here, there's like nothing up here. It's all down on the bottom and up on the side. So I think if we kind of make an angled cut right here, I think we can cut a bunch of the back of this off and make this a much better fit for this kiosk. Probably a better fit than the original. So let's try it out and see what happens. Okay, we've got it all marked out. About as much as we can take off is how much I'm gonna take off. Got the inside right there, and then we got another angle cut right there. Now also I am gonna have to take off some of this back piece, so I made a black line there. And now it's just time to cut these things off, and then we'll put it back together and see how it looks. And there we go. We've got it all nicely cut out. I think we got a good angle on this, and that cut off a bunch of the back, so I think that's gonna fit back in there just fine. But we can't quite test that yet because we have some work to do on the Game Boy itself. We need to put a new glass screen lens on, and then we just need to give this thing a good cleaning. It is pretty dirty. So the first thing I need to do is get all of this old nasty glue off of here, and it actually just scrapes off pretty easy. But we want to make sure and have a nice clean place to lay the new lens on. Okay, this is starting to look pretty good. Gonna use some IPA and cotton bud so we can get a better view of what else needs to be cleaned. It's getting pretty close though. It needs to be nice and flat for that screen to lay on here properly. This screen is really dirty. This grime has just been caked on for probably a very long time. So I'm just going around the edges especially. There's just a lot of it built up there, so we're getting it though. There's a bit of a dark spot in the middle. I don't think I'm gonna replace the screen on this yet. I kind of want to see what it looks like when I keep it all original. I might have to do that at some point though. Now let's clean up the rest of the console. It's already looking so much better, but it's gonna look so good once we get these dark marks off of it. Okay, that's already looking much better. We do still have a faint line here. I'm trying to decide, I feel like maybe this could use some retrobrite at some point, but it's getting pretty close. Oh yeah, could definitely use retrobrite. We got it nice and gray up here and pretty yellow down here. Just gonna go over the rest of this with a cleaning wipe just to make sure it's all as clean as we can get it. Now we need to do a little more work on the screen, then we'll get that screen lens installed. Okay, here is this new screen lens. It's a nice glass screen lens. All right, and let's go ahead and put it right side up. Oh, so good. And like I said, at some point I'll probably replace this screen, but right now I just want to keep it all original. That looks pretty good, other than the screen that could use replaced. And the screen itself also had some scratches. I don't know how long it had been without a lens, but probably quite a while. Okay, so that I think is ready to go back in. Now we just got to see if this monitor is going to fit in there, and then we can see how everything else fits in there. Okay, so first this needs to go down here. You need to get the reset button in, and then the demo boy goes down here, and that's what the monitor sits on. This is all connected, so this makes this a little difficult. So these two need to go down first. I think the demo boy goes down like this. Maybe, hopefully. Don't like all the scraping sounds. Okay, that's in. We've got the Game Boy kind of loosely in place. We have our reset button over here that we've got to install later. We need to get the power cable through for the demo boy, and then the monitor. That's the part I'm not really sure about. Okay, now it's time to see if our modified monitor is gonna fit. Once I get it up there, I need to be able to plug in the video cable. I'm gonna put this down in here first. So we've got the power cord there. Video cable needs to plug in right over. Oh, I can do it right now. I feel like that's not a good idea. This goes right, there we go, okay. So the monitor will sit on that so it doesn't get in the way of the video cable. Here we go. I think it might fit. That I think is feeling pretty good. Okay, almost there. Need to do some screen cleaning, and then it's almost time to get this thing started up. Now the audio we have a problem with because we just have a cut wire for the audio from the Game Boy, so that we need to work on. We're getting pretty close though. I want to try pushing this front piece up to make sure it will actually fit up there and look how it's supposed to. Okay, it's not all the way squeezed together, but I think that might actually work. I wasn't real sure about that monitor, but it might be okay. Okay, I'm gonna get a few things buttoned up, and then we'll be able to test this thing. Before I fully finish this up and flip this cover up, I wanna turn it on and make sure it works, or plug it in and see if everything works. So let's do that first and see how it goes. Okay, plugged in. Okay, the Nintendo, okay, we got something on the screen. We've got no sound though. Nothing when I mess with the sound wheel. So the sound and video goes from the Game Boy to the Demo Boy to the monitor to the amp over here and then out to the speakers. We know video works, but so far we've got no sound. It could be the Demo Boy, it could be the amp, it could be the speakers, it could be the Game Boy for all we know. So I think I'm gonna plug the cable into a speaker. That'll tell us if the Demo Boy is working and if the cable is working. So this is just a random Bluetooth speaker I have around the office here. Let's plug it in, turn it on. Okay. So we know, it's really loud.
Power off.
Okay, so we know that the Demo Boy 2 is working, we know the cable is working, that narrows it down to the amp and the speaker. Let's do a quick speaker test with the battery, and that'll tell us if it's the speakers or the amp. So I have a 9-volt battery there, I have the negative lead hooked to the negative on the speaker, and now I'm just gonna touch the positive lead, and we should hear something from the speaker. Okay, that tells me that most likely the speaker is working fine, which means we likely have an amp problem. So I'm gonna get it out so we can test it. So the first thing I wanna test is to see if we have power coming in. So the striped line is usually the positive, the black is usually the negative. We got almost 18 volts coming in. Okay, that's good news. So the next thing is, let's unplug it and flip it over. So this is the bottom of the circuit board, and this is the amplifier chip right here, and that's kind of the part that I'm focusing on. Now I do have a data sheet for this, and what we have is input on pin 1, input on pin 2, output on pin 1 is number 10, output for speaker 2 is on pin 7. Okay, so this is the speaker connector right here. There should be voltage right here. There is totally not. Voltage here, there is not. Voltage here, there's not. This voltage comes from over here, which comes from over here. There's 0 voltage on this entire thing. And I think I know why. If we flip it over, if we look really carefully, we can see probably why, especially if I unplug this. What do we have? We have 3 pins right here. One of the pins is ground, 2 of the pins is power, and it just happens to be that I believe this connector was connected wrong. Now I've already checked this with the circuit, so we're not doing anything dangerous here, but to prove my point, we'll connect this connector how I believe it should be connected, then we'll recheck all of those pins. Black probe on ground, let's see if there's voltage to the speaker now. And there totally is, 7.4 volts, 7.45 volts, and we have 14.76 volts to the chip. So now that we have voltage to the speakers, let's go try this again. It's crazy that that whole problem was likely caused by someone unplugging this and plugging it back in wrong. And now with the amplifier connected properly, we'll plug the input back in. Now let's try and turn it on and see what happens. Ah, I hear sound. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I think we finally have everything working on this kiosk. I'm gonna get everything buttoned up now, get the speaker back installed, lift this top piece over, and we'll see what it looks like as a final working product. That's so loud. Okay, we're almost there. This is looking so good. I need to put this bottom piece on. One of the things I've been wondering about this is I wonder if at some point I should upgrade this to a color monitor. I feel like that would really improve the quality of this. Also though, I don't know, maybe it should be just totally stock. Also on the Game Boy, I can't get the game out. I feel like maybe it's glued in or something, but it doesn't just come out, and I love to be able to place different games in there. Also, maybe it would be cool to upgrade the speaker system. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comments, if I should upgrade this or I should leave it totally stock. Okay, it's the moment of truth. This thing is not perfect yet. It needs some work still. I need to get the stickers working. I want to do a full cleaning, maybe retro bright. I'm just kind of worried I don't want to ruin the shell, so I'm not totally sure about that. Also, we've got some cracks in the back that are going to be really hard to fix, and I kind of want to fix them, but also I'm not sure if that's going to look good enough to justify fixing them. Tell me in the comments all the things that you want to see done to this, and maybe we can do an update video where I do more of the cosmetic stuff. But now it's time to turn it on and see if this thing works like it's supposed to. Oh man, this is exciting. This thing is so cool. Okay, here we go. Plugging in, and sound is good. Game Boy's working. We've got the color on the screen. This thing is so cool. If you like this type of video, I made a video where I tried to fix every color of original Game Boy. I'll put that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see how many of them I could fix. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.